Well, Bruce Willis dropped in the other day.
And now Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Oh, no. You are so cool, you know, you are really cool.
Bruce Willis moved into a care home on August 15, 2025. His family spent $200,000 a year just to keep him safe. The man who once shouted over explosions in Die Hard can no longer speak. But that's not the worst part. Emma revealed something she kept hidden for years. She thought Bruce was just being distant. She had no idea his brain was slowly dying. The disease had been stealing him away long before anyone knew. What his family discovered will break your heart. Bruce Willis was born on March 19, 1955 in a small town in West Germany called Idar Oberstein. His father was an American soldier stationed there after the war, and his mother was a German woman from Kassel. From the very start, Bruce's world was split between two cultures. He lived on a military base, surrounded by the ghosts of a recent war, caught between American discipline and German traditions. But when he was just 2 years old, everything changed. In 1957, his father left the army and the whole family moved across the ocean to New Jersey. Suddenly, Bruce was no longer the boy from Germany. He was just another kid in a rough American neighborhood, surrounded by factory workers and struggling families. His father worked with metal and his mother took small jobs at banks. They didn't have much, and Bruce felt like he didn't fit in anywhere. As the 1960s rolled in, something started to trouble him deeply. Around age 6, Bruce developed a painful stutter. Words got stuck in his throat. He'd try to speak and nothing would come out right. Kids laughed at him and gave him a cruel nickname, Buck Buck. He tried to fight back with his fists, swinging wildly just to defend himself. But the shame of not being able to speak clearly haunted him. Sometimes it took him minutes just to get a sentence out. It crushed his confidence. By the time he was 10, school had already become a battlefield. The stutter didn't just hurt, it isolated him. High school could have been the breaking point. He skipped classes just to avoid being called on. He pulled pranks to distract people from his speech. But one day in the early 1970s, around age 15, he took a chance and joined the drama club, and something unbelievable happened. The moment he stepped on stage and read lines, the stutter disappeared. It was like magic. He could speak fluently, clearly, without fear. For the first time, people listened. Teachers were stunned. Bruce realized that when he became someone else, the words came freely. Acting gave him back his voice. That discovery changed everything. By 1973, he had become the student council president. Even though some kids still mocked him, he didn't care. He had found something that made him feel alive. And in 1975, while studying theater at Montclair State University, 2 professors gave him speech therapy that helped even more. But by 1977, Bruce was tired of school. He dropped out and moved straight to New York City, determined to chase something bigger. With no money and no contacts, he worked long hours as a bartender just to survive. Sometimes he had to crash on couches or sleep in tiny apartments. But he made people laugh. He skated to work. He played the harmonica for tips. He turned the bar into a stage. Those years were messy and hard. He faced over 100 rejections in his first year. But little by little he started landing roles in off-Broadway shows. His first real part came in 1977 in a play called Heaven and Earth. Even though the money was low and the rejection constant, he kept going. Sometimes he had to sleep on benches when things got bad. But people started to notice him. He got small roles in commercials, bit parts in movies, and eventually in 1980, a brief scene with Frank Sinatra. But one night while bartending, he got into a fight, trying to protect someone. His nose was broken badly. He needed emergency surgery. Doctors warned that the injury might hurt his voice, but he recovered. He came back tougher. The scar stayed, and it gave him a certain edge. Back then, nobody knew he'd become one of the biggest action stars in the world. But in those small, struggling bars of New York, he built something stronger than fame. He built friendships that would last decades. He met John Goodman behind the counter at Chelsea Central, and together they performed wild improvised plays that left small crowds stunned. They were broke, earning just a few dollars a week, but the passion was real. They worked without scripts. They shouted and cried and threw themselves into every moment. These raw performances sharpened Bruce's timing and gave him the energy that would one day electrify movie screens. Then, in 1985, everything changed. Bruce walked into an audition for a new TV show called Moonlighting. About 3,000 actors wanted the role, including radio stars and trained performers. ABC rejected Bruce 11 times, but he came back one last time with a shaved head, earrings, and an attitude that couldn't be ignored. He ad-libbed his lines and made the producers laugh. Suddenly, the outsider with the stutter was the one they wanted. Moonlighting aired on March 3, 1985, and Bruce Willis became a star overnight. The show was chaotic and expensive. It took twice as long to film as most shows. Episodes ran 120 pages long, but Bruce's charm, speed, and unpredictability made it a sensation. He clashed often with his co-star Sybil Shepherd. By 1986, tensions on set were boiling. They argued, snapped at each other before scenes, and sometimes refused to speak off camera. The pressure got so bad that Bruce collapsed from exhaustion in 1988 and had to be hospitalized. Scripts were delayed. Ratings dipped, but the fire between them kept fans hooked. Behind the scenes, Bruce was burning out, but in front of the camera, he was magnetic. While all this was happening, Bruce shocked everyone by releasing a music album called The Return of Bruno in January 1987. Nobody expected a TV star to top charts, but he did. The album went gold with 500,000 sales. It even hit number 2 in the UK. Critics rolled their eyes, but fans didn't care. Bruce sang with soul legends and turned it into something unforgettable. It was strange, bold, and fun, just like him. But the grind was taking its toll. Filming Moonlighting episodes that cost over $1 million each, Bruce was pushed to the edge. His co-stars' pregnancy in 1987 caused more delays, and a major writer's strike in 1988 nearly shut the show down for good. On May 14, 1989, the show finally ended. Bruce had given it everything. By then, his name was already echoing in Hollywood. His TV salary had skyrocketed to $50,000 per episode, a giant leap from the $1,500 gigs he had started with. At the time, Bruce Willis wasn't supposed to be the star. He was mostly known as the charming guy from Moonlighting, and no one expected him to land the lead role in a big action film. But in a strange twist, a script called Die Hard was making its way through Hollywood in the late 1980s. Big names like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone had already turned it down. Even Frank Sinatra was asked since the story was technically a sequel to something he starred in decades earlier. He passed, too. And then out of nowhere, Bruce Willis got the offer. What shocked everyone wasn't just that he was chosen, but that the studio was willing to pay him $5 million. That was the kind of money reserved for superstars like Dustin Hoffman or Robert Redford. People in the industry thought the studio had lost their minds. Filming began in late 1987, and most of it was shot inside Fox Plaza in Los Angeles. By the time the movie was released on July 15, 1988, no one had any idea it would explode the way it did. It made over $140 million worldwide and turned Bruce Willis into a full-blown action hero. But there was a price. During one of the many explosive stunts, a loud detonation went off too close to him, causing permanent partial hearing loss in his left ear. He kept it quiet at the time so production wouldn't be interrupted. But years later, it was revealed that the damage never fully healed, and it became part of the health issues that followed him into the 2000s. Still, that rough-edged, relatable energy he brought to John Wayne changed everything. He didn't look like a superhero. He looked like a regular guy, caught in an impossible situation. And people loved him for it. Just a year later, Bruce did something no one expected. He signed on to voice a talking baby in a movie called Look Who's Talking. It sounded like a joke, but the surprise wasn't just the idea. It was what he earned. For just 4 days of voice work, he took home $10 million. The reason? A smart deal that gave him a share of the profits. The movie itself was made for under $10 million, but ended up making almost $300 million worldwide. His voice, full of charm and sarcasm, became a hit with families everywhere. The movie turned into a franchise, and he got another $10 million for the sequel. Everyone started realizing he wasn't just lucky, he was smart, too. Then he tried something totally different. In September 1989, In Country came out. It was a slow, emotional story about a Vietnam vet living in a quiet town. Bruce grew a mustache and played the role with quiet pain. His own father had fought in the Korean War, and maybe that made the performance feel more real. Critics liked it. Roger Albert gave it 3 stars, but audiences didn't show up. The movie only made a few $1 million. Still, it showed that Bruce wasn't afraid to take risks, even if it meant walking away from another hit. By 1990, he was back in full action mode. Die Hard 2 hit theaters on July 4th. This time, Bruce knew his worth. He got $7.5 million up front and a cut of the profits. The movie earned over $240 million worldwide, even more than the original. Behind the scenes, he clashed with the director over realism. He didn't want cartoonish stunts. He wanted the danger to feel real. That same mindset, caring about the little things, kept pushing his career forward. And by the time the third movie came around in 1995, his salary had risen to $15 million. But not everything he touched turned to gold. The sequel to Look Who's Talking, released in late 1990, flopped. It only made $47 million and got slammed by critics. Bruce had recorded all his lines in just 3 days, and he later admitted the script wasn't ready. He even sued the producer, claiming they owed him a $2 million cut from profits. But the case was thrown out. It was a reminder that fast money didn't always mean lasting success. Then came a turning point. In 1994, Pulp Fiction arrived. Quentin Tarantino cast Bruce as Butch, a boxer who refuses to throw a fight. The movie didn't just revive his career. It made people see him in a new light. Gritty, real, willing to take risks. He only made $800,000 for the role, way less than his usual fee. But he didn't care. It was about the story. The film went on to earn over $200 million and win an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. And although Bruce wasn't nominated, people finally started taking him seriously as more than just an action guy. The next year, he pushed even harder. In 12 Monkeys, released in late 1995, he played a broken man from a post-apocalyptic future. He lost 20 pounds. For the role, he visited mental hospitals to prepare. And during filming, he fractured his shoulder doing a stunt. Still, he kept going. The movie made over $160 million and earned 2 Oscar nominations. Once again, no nomination for Bruce. But no one could deny how deep he went for the part. By 1997, he surprised everyone again with The Fifth Element. It was wild, futuristic, filled with color and chaos. Bruce played a cab driver who becomes Earth's last hope. The movie cost almost $90 million, a record then, and it made over $260 million. Bruce did his own stunts. He wore tight orange vests he hated. But somehow it all worked. The movie became a cult classic. Then came 1998 when Bruce led the huge disaster movie Armageddon. He played Harry Stamper, a tough oil driller sent to stop an asteroid from destroying Earth. The movie, released on July 1st, made more than $553 million worldwide, making it the top film of the year. But things behind the scenes were rough. Bruce fought with director Michael Bay over scenes that were cut, especially the emotional family moments. He also argued with producer Jerry Bruckheimer and later said the filming was miserable. Still, Bruce improvised one of the film's most emotional scenes, the tearful goodbye, which helped the movie connect with audiences. Despite 4 Oscar nominations for the film, Bruce got a Razzie for Worst Actor in 1999. A strange twist for such a huge hit. Back in 1987, Bruce's personal life made headlines, too. He met Demi Moore in July at a movie screening while she was still engaged to Alioests. But just 4 months later, on November 21, 1987, Bruce and Demi got married in Las Vegas. Demi later said the wedding wasn't even planned. They were on their way to gamble when Bruce suggested they just get married. A month later, they had a proper ceremony with about 100 guests, including Little Richard as the officiant. The sudden marriage cost under $1,000, but marked the beginning of a powerful Hollywood relationship. People gossiped that Demi was pregnant before the wedding, but their first daughter, Rumor, was born exactly 9 months later in August 1988. Bruce and Demi became parents to 3 daughters.